Hello, parents. It is March, and we are back together in our family room to your family room, giving you your online parenting class for March. We're so excited to send these emails out every single month, but also to include some great things. At the end of this email this month, we have some things having spiritual conversations with your child or with your teen. Please look over that information, that resource. It is so important, especially what we're talking about today. We talk about this idea of communication. Matthew 5:37 says, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything else comes from the devil." In context, Jesus is talking to us about how we communicate, how we use oaths, how we interact with each other, and making sure that we do what God has called us to do when it comes to our communication. And that's what we want to talk about today, is this idea of being clear, constant, and Christ-like when our communication, when it comes to our home. It's something that we've worked on a ton in our home over the years, and even in our marriage. The fact is, very simply, we need to be clear with our communication, whether it becomes between a husband and wife, mom and dad talking, or it comes to our kids. We need that to not sidestep tough issues, but be very clear. Let our yes be yes and our no be no. Make sure that we are not kind of going against each other when we communicate to our kids, saying two different things, but we are very clear. The other thing we talk about a lot in our home is this constant flow of communication.
We started teaching our kids to communicate when they were very, very little. We would spend time just talking with them. Back when our kids were super little, obviously cell phones were not as evident as they are now, but I would spend a lot of time with our kids just talking to them, teaching them how to talk to one another, using kind words in our home, using kind words toward one another and outside of our home. But we also have set up a system where we're always talking to our kids. When our kids come home, when they walk in the door, we try to ask them how their day was. We know that some days that are not going to be as great as others, and they just need a break to process and kind of decompress from the day. But then we try every evening to have dinner together. And during that time, we try to communicate with one another, ask each other how our day was, tell us something great that happened, tell us what was maybe a struggle during the day, but we're always trying to get them to communicate. I know that sometimes this is a hard thing, especially with all the technology that is in our world right now. Kids may want to go hide in their room with their technology, but you know what? You get the opportunity for only 18 years or maybe a little bit more to spend time pouring into your kids, having conversations with them. And we need to take the reins and say, you know what? Hey, we need to have some free time where there's no tech involved and it's just us. But then you can also use technology to communicate constantly with your kids. We have a family thread where we're constantly like, hey, this is something funny that happened during our day. Hey, you know what? I got an A on my science test. And we all like share and like get excited about those kind of things going on. We're in constant communication with one another. But part of that started whenever our kids were really little, and just telling them, we always want you to have the freedom to come and talk to us and tell us everything, whether it's something you don't understand, whether it is something that is tough that's going on. We always want to hear from you. And we try really hard with that constant communication to not ever let our emotions come out, whether it's an anger emotion or it's a disgusted emotion. We try really hard to let our kids say what they need to say and then go back and process it with them.
And that's what we're talking about, is this clear, constant, but Christ-like communication. As we work to be very clear about our communication, constantly talking, we also set ourselves up to be examples of Christ-like communication with our kids. We want our words to be saturated with godly, Christ-like love. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that our children are doing that. What's what a challenge we want to give to you this month? What kind of communication, what kind of conversations are you having? We want them to be clear. We want them to be constant. We want them to be Christ-like. That's why we've included in this email two great resources to have spiritual conversations with your children. We want you to talk about Christ, talk about his word with your children. But as you do that, what's going to do is it's going to change how you communicate with each other. Even when it comes to husbands and wives, moms, dads, even as you talk to other people in your family beyond just your immediate family. We want you to have the opportunity to represent Christ in the words you say and your communication. Well, right now, the book of James has a whole church, and one of those key parts of James is talking about our tongue, but also our full communication of our lives. Thank you so much for tuning in with us this month. As always, Melissa and I are here for you, with you. We do not want you to feel like you are alone. You always have a partner in parenting with us. Our email, our phone number is available. Please grab us on Sunday mornings and talk to us. Pull us aside. We would love to just have a spontaneous prayer moment with you as you process and you get better at this idea of communication. We love you. We thank you for being a part of our Avenue Christian community. We will talk to you next month on one of these videos, or we'll see you in person very soon.